As an immigration lawyer, I work with a lot of family law attorneys who want to understand how a divorce is going to impact their client. Either they're representing the U.S. citizen spouse and they want to know what's going to happen to my immigrant spouse if I file for divorce. Are they going to get deported? Are they going to lose custody of the children? Or they're representing the immigrant and they want to know whether they can keep this person's status going in a divorce. The main thing that I will say to a family law who has an immigrant coming to them or the spouse of an immigrant coming to them who is seeking a divorce is that you should care about everybody who has a 2-year green card, a visa, temporary status, a work permit, or they're undocumented. Is essentially anybody who doesn't already have some type of permanent status. If the immigrant already has a green card, a 10-year green card, or citizenship, they're not going to lose their status because of divorce. But if they have any of those other types of statuses that are temporary and not permanent, they could actually lose it in the context of a divorce, and the immigrant, will need an immigration lawyer to consult with them before any action is taken. I often talk to family law attorneys who are talking to immigrants who are contemplating divorce and they're worried about their status. If they don't already have a green card or citizenship, they do need to consider what's going to happen with their status. And there's lots of details about how to keep it and whether it's going to be impacted. But the bottom line is an immigrant who is considering divorce should have an immigration lawyer. And the main message that I would say is if that immigrant is suffering any kind of mistreatment or cruelty in the marriage, it doesn't have to be physical violence or sexual violence. It could be emotional abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse, or otherwise just name calling. That person might qualify for a green card, and they should absolutely talk to an immigration lawyer, tell them everything so that they can then get the advice. Because I can't tell you how many immigrants I've talked to who are in difficult marriages, abusive maybe, but very difficult and challenging. And they stay in it far too long for fear of losing their status. But the moment I can talk to them and tell them, you know what, I see a VAWA case here for you. We can get your green card. Here are the things you need to collect, and then you can go. The amount of relief that they feel and their ability to walk away and protect themselves and their children because they know their legal status in the country is going to be protected is immense. And it's something that they always wish they would have done sooner. So if a family law attorney is talking to an immigrant who's considering divorce and they're worried about their status, number one, get them to an immigration lawyer for advice so that they can know what to do next. Here's why I feel so strongly that immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens who are contemplating separation or divorce talk to an immigration lawyer. It is possible that an immigrant loses their status because of a divorce to a U.S. citizen. And if they don't act in time to protect themselves, they lose eligibility to stay here. And then they could get themselves in deportation proceedings and deported from this country. And their children, who are U.S. citizens, would not be deported. So it's possible that an immigrant could lose their kids because they haven't protected their legal status before getting a divorce. It's super important that anyone who is an immigrant who is married to a U.S. citizen, before taking any action, consults with an immigration lawyer, and we can talk through how not only to protect your status, but how to protect your ability to stay in this country with your children or make decisions about what happens with your children. If you are an immigrant who has any type of status that is temporary or not permanent, meaning you have anything except a green card or citizenship, and you are married and you have children, the first thing you need to do if you are contemplating divorce from your spouse is consult with an immigration lawyer, because you could lose your status or your ability to get status because of the divorce, and you could end up deported in your home country without your children if you are not cautious. And if you're already working with a divorce attorney who has not pulled in an immigration lawyer, tell them you need to speak to an immigration lawyer and get them to refer you to someone that you can talk to who can help protect your ability to stay in this country and stay with your kids. If a U.S. citizen or permanent resident applies for a green card for their spouse and the couple is divorcing, everybody needs to know about the I-864 contract. The divorce attorneys both need to know, the U.S. citizen needs to know, and the immigrant needs to know, because this is a contract between the U.S. citizen spouse, the immigrant, and the U.S. government, where the petitioning spouse has said, I'm going to promise that this immigrant is not going to receive public benefits, and I'm going to maintain this person at the poverty guidelines or above them until the contract ends. And do you know what? The contract doesn't end until the immigrant leaves the country, the petitioner dies, or the immigrant becomes a U.S. citizen. You know when it doesn't end? It doesn't end when a divorce occurs. That means that the U.S. citizen spouse could potentially be maintaining their ex-spouse for the rest of their lives if they never become a U.S. citizen and they never leave the country. That's about $16,000 a year. Therefore, everyone needs to know this contract exists, including both of the divorce attorneys, so that it can be part of the negotiation and the agreement of the divorce.